Trump's got it wrong. So does Elon Musk. We're not quitting. Americans from every walk of life, Democrats, Republicans, independents, wrong to cut deals with corrupt politicians, wrong to pardon terrorists, wrong to get in bed with Putin, wrong for an American president to call himself a king. They all know it's wrong to cut veterans' health care, wrong to cut FAA air traffic controllers, wrong to fire FBI agents for doing their jobs. We're in this fight till the end, till Trump's gone and America is free again. And nothing's going to change that.
What happens when you combine former Republican strategists with Hollywood-level production values and the mission to troll Trump into oblivion? The Lincoln Project just showed us, and Trump's reaction was exactly what they wanted. A complete and total meltdown that has even his own team worried. But here's what everyone's missing: the psychological warfare these ads are designed for. They're not trying to change voter minds. They're trying to break Trump's brain. And based on his all-caps tirade calling them losers and RHINOs, and he meant RINOs, it's working perfectly. Melania's face watching this unfold? Absolutely priceless. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wonder why Trump gets so mad every time the Lincoln Project drops a new ad? It's not just random political bickering. It's carefully engineered psychological warfare designed to break his brain. And boy, is it working. The Lincoln Project isn't your typical political group with some generic anti-Trump message. These folks are the ultimate political insiders, former Republican strategists who spent decades helping build the very party Trump now controls.
The Lincoln Project salutes Vice President Donald Trump. As Vice President, Trump will finally have the time to do the things that make him happiest. We at the Lincoln Project are confident that Donald Trump understands his position. Elon is smarter, wealthier, more charismatic, has a far superior and more successful social media platform and company. Talk about old movies, playing on his phone, admiring the assets of other men. Meanwhile, President Musk can get down to the business of running the country.
That's what makes their attacks so devastating. They know exactly which buttons to push because they installed those buttons themselves. The masterminds behind these brutal ads, guys like Rick Wilson and Steve Schmidt, aren't just random Democrats trying to take Trump down. That's the genius part. They're lifelong Republicans who helped put George W. Bush and John McCain in power. They've spent their careers studying how to win Republican voters, and now they're using that knowledge to drive Trump absolutely bonkers. Think about it. Who better to destroy Trump than the people who understand exactly how his political machine works? It's like having someone who helped build your house now telling everyone where all the termites are hiding. These guys know which load-bearing walls to target for maximum damage. What makes their approach so brilliant is how surgical their psychological attacks are. They don't just criticize Trump's policies, they go straight for his most sensitive insecurities. His failed businesses? Check. His one-term presidency? Check. Being twice impeached? Double check. They hit him exactly where it hurts most: his fragile ego.
America on the march. President Trump announced this month that the Gulf of Mexico is going to become the Gulf of America. Can Jimmy have some freedom fries with that?
Who controls the computer systems that decide if you get your tax refund, or disaster relief, or Medicare benefits? Elon Musk.
Republicans have turned in their game uniforms and become cheerleaders.
About a big, beautiful canal instead.
And we're taking it back.
Cheer for Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
We got a new sheriff in town.
The production value of these ads is next level too. They're not boring political commercials. They're mini psychological horror films designed specifically for an audience of one. They use dramatic music, quick cuts, and devastating one-liners that stick in Trump's head like a song he can't get rid of. Just imagine being Trump and hearing these former Republican insiders calling you weak, pathetic, and a loser in perfectly produced 60-second spots. But the real brilliance is in the delivery method. The Lincoln Project doesn't just release these ads online and hope Trump sees them. No, they strategically buy airtime during Fox News broadcasts in the DC market, especially during shows they know Trump watches religiously. It's like they're slipping these poison pills directly into his morning Diet Coke. The psychological formula is devastatingly effective. Mix uncomfortable truths with mockery in a way that's impossible to dismiss. When they call him impotent, weak, and a failure, it's not just random insults. It's pointing out things Trump himself worries about in the dark hours of the night. They're essentially whispering his own insecurities back to him through the television.
Watching the power grab and illegality going on in Washington, it's easy to feel helpless, like there's nothing you can do.
Elon Musk, hailed for changing the way we drive, celebrated for sending rockets toward the stars.
The penalties for violation are civil and criminal. Elon Musk and his tech bros are not above the law, and a corrupt president has no ability to pardon state crimes.
Is using his power to do something unthinkable. He's slashing funding for life-saving medicine and science, shutting down cancer and Alzheimer's research, solutions for childhood diseases.
And Trump's reaction? Exactly what they're hoping for. Their latest ad hit the airwaves, and initially Trump tried to play it cool, pretending he didn't care about these failed losers and their stupid commercial. But these guys know their target too well. They knew it was just a matter of time before the pressure cooker exploded. Within hours, Trump's first Truth Social post appeared. Just a few angry words dismissing them. Nothing to see here, folks. But the Lincoln Project veterans knew better. They've seen this pattern before. First comes the dismissal, then comes the obsession, and finally the total meltdown. It's as predictable as the tides. Think about the psychological trap they've created. If Trump ignores them, they keep poking. If he responds, he looks weak and proves their point that he's easily triggered. There's no winning move for him, which is exactly how they designed it. That trap didn't just work, it worked so well you could practically watch Trump's sanity slipping away with each passing hour on Truth Social. What starts as a single annoyed post at dinner time somehow transforms into a 3 a.m. caps lock festival with more exclamation points than a teenage girl's diary. But let's be honest, there's something deeply unsettling about watching a 78-year-old former president having a digital meltdown in real time.
You know, the White House is more than just a building. It's more than 18 acres of land in Washington, D.C.
It's the place where Americans look for leadership when the night is at its darkest and when the dawn breaks brightest.
It's a commitment to the Republic and to our sacred Constitution.
Unemployment is 98% under Joe Biden.
Best debate prep since Lincoln.
And a loaf of gasoline is $84 a pound.
What about schools, sir?
Let them eat bootstraps, okay?
Trump's initial response seemed almost measured. Just a quick dismissal calling the Lincoln Project failed losers and moving on. Nothing to see here, folks. Just another day of a totally stable genius handling criticism with grace and dignity. But that facade didn't last long. As evening turned to night, things started getting weird. The posts began appearing at increasingly strange hours, a digital breadcrumb trail mapping his declining emotional state. By midnight, our former commander-in-chief's typing skills went completely off the rails. He started misspelling basic words like RHINOs instead of RINOs, which is pretty hilarious considering how much time he spends attacking Republicans who aren't loyal enough to him. You'd think he'd at least know how to spell the insult correctly. The all caps started taking over entire paragraphs. Like your uncle who just discovered the internet and thinks shouting in text form makes his conspiracy theories more convincing. But the real tell? Those exclamation points started multiplying like rabbits, sometimes 5 or 6 in a row. Nothing says I'm totally fine and not at all having a meltdown like punctuation overkill at midnight. What really set him off? The Lincoln Project knows exactly which buttons to push, mentioning his failed businesses, his growing legal troubles, and especially that devastating phrase, one term, twice impeached loser. That's the political equivalent of poking a bear with a stick, except in this case, the bear has access to social media and apparently doesn't have anyone brave enough to take his phone away. By 3 a.m., yes, 3 in the morning, Trump was rage posting every 15 to 20 minutes. His staff later tried to claim these were scheduled posts, which might be the lamest excuse since the dog ate my homework. Nobody schedules posts to appear every 15 minutes throughout the night. That's not a social media strategy, that's a cry for help. The syntax in these late night posts tells the real story. Sentences trail off mid-thought, random words get capitalized for no apparent reason, and the punctuation starts looking like it was typed by someone wearing boxing gloves. This isn't just a bad night on social media, it's a real-time psychological EKG showing exactly when the Lincoln Project's needles pierced his thinnest skin. Meanwhile, what's happening with Melania through all this? Sources inside Mar-a-Lago paint a picture that speaks volumes. She reportedly started the evening merely annoyed, the face of someone who's seen this movie before and knows exactly how it ends. But as the hours ticked by and Trump's digital tantrum escalated, her expression reportedly transformed from irritation to complete mortification. Picture it, Trump hunched over his phone at 3 a.m., the blue light illuminating his face as he types another all-caps rant about fake news and witch hunts, while Melania silently contemplates her life choices from across the room. One source described her face as cycling through the 5 stages of grief, but getting stuck on anger and disgust. The psychological manipulation worked perfectly. The Lincoln Project baited the hook, and Trump not only bit it, he swallowed the entire fishing rod, boat, and fisherman. Each post served as proof of exactly what they claimed, that he's unstable, easily triggered, and completely at the mercy of his own emotions. Every misspelled word, every excessive exclamation point, every 3 a.m. rant was another victory for them and another self-inflicted wound for him. While Trump's public meltdown played out online for the world to witness, behind the gilded doors of Mar-a-Lago, an even more explosive situation was unfolding. If you thought his social media tantrum was bad, the private performance would make your jaw drop faster than Trump's approval ratings after a debate. Mar-a-Lago staff had front row seats to what one employee described as Hurricane Donald, and they weren't just witnessing history, they were dodging the debris. As his Truth Social posts grew more unhinged, the atmosphere inside the residence became increasingly chaotic. The sound of shouting echoed through the ornate hallways, punctuated by the distinctive crash of objects hitting walls. "We're used to tensions running high, but this was different," said one staff member who requested anonymity. "It was like watching a 78-year-old toddler who'd missed his nap time and had too much sugar." The evidence of Trump's rage wasn't just digital. One staffer reported finding ketchup splattered across a wall in the dining area, a familiar sight that brought back memories of sworn testimony about his White House tantrums. Apparently, when the former president loses his cool, condiments become collateral damage. The cleaning crew at Mar-a-Lago must have special training in removing tomato-based stains from expensive wallpaper. Melania, ever the reluctant first lady, initially attempted to play the role of adult in the room. Sources confirmed she tried reasoning with her husband, suggesting he put down his phone and get some sleep instead of feeding his middle-of-the-night posting frenzy. "Just turn it off and come to bed," she reportedly told him, using the same tone one might use with a cranky child refusing to put away their toys. Her peacemaking efforts fell on deaf ears. When Trump ignored her reasonable suggestions, witnesses described a fascinating transformation in Melania's demeanor. The attempted mediator vanished, replaced by a woman whose icy stare could freeze the floor to humidity. Her expression shifted from concerned to contemptuous in real time. "It was like watching someone hit their limit," said a household employee. One minute she's trying to help, the next minute she's looking at him like he's something stuck to the bottom of her designer shoes. Security cameras captured what happened next. Melania walking briskly away from their shared quarters, her body language screaming, "I'm done with this nonsense," louder than any words could. She retreated to a separate wing of the property, putting as much distance between herself and the tantrum as the sprawling estate would allow. Meanwhile, staff received urgent requests to bring extra Diet Coke to Trump's room, a telltale sign his stress-drinking habit had kicked into overdrive. The former president's affinity for the beverage is well documented, but his consumption reportedly increases dramatically during periods of stress. One has to wonder if Diet Coke executives send him thank you notes after particularly bad news cycles. As the night progressed, the situation deteriorated further. Security footage revealed Melania's ultimate response to her husband's meltdown, packing an overnight bag and heading to a separate guest house on the property. According to those familiar with the couple's dynamics, this isn't unprecedented behavior. Apparently, when Trump's tantrums reach a certain threshold of unbearability, Melania opts for a tactical retreat rather than endure the storm. "She has a system," explained a source close to the former First Lady. "When he gets like this, she goes to the guest house. It's like her emergency bunker for when his ego is having a nuclear meltdown." By sunrise, as golden Florida light filtered through Mar-a-Lago's windows, the full extent of the night's chaos was evident. Staff tiptoed around, cleaning up the physical evidence of Trump's rage, while his campaign team began the more complicated task of damage control. They had to somehow spin their candidate's all-night social media rampage into something resembling presidential behavior, a task about as realistic as Trump paying his bills on time. And there you have it, folks. The Lincoln Project's master plan worked to perfection. Their ads didn't just annoy Trump, they broke him like a cheap toy from one of his failed businesses. Political analysts have confirmed what we all witnessed. Mocking Trump instead of boring us with policy debates is actually super effective at destroying his public image. The Lincoln Project bigwig Steve Schmidt and Rick Wilson aren't just creating political ads. They're making what they call cinematic masterpieces that show off Trump's incompetence and his fragile little ego. Poor Melania's escape to the guest house tells us everything about the real Donald, a man who can be completely unraveled by a 60-second video. While his campaign team is probably chugging Tums by the bottle right now, the impact is already showing. Trump's approval ratings have taken a nosedive, and his fundraising is drying up faster than his hair in a windstorm. Turns out voters actually enjoy watching the former president have a complete meltdown. Who knew politics could be this entertaining?